Well, it's that day. It's what I call the gardener's dilemma day. Here it is. Beautiful sunshine. Don't need a jacket. The garden is still beautiful, full of things. But they're calling for potential, well, they're not calling for frost, but they're calling for temps to dip down to 33 degrees, which is right at the frost time in a couple of days. And here's the dilemma. I'm going to be away from my garden at that time. So it's that dilemma of when do you do the big final sweep to gather up as much as you can to keep. Do you gamble and keep things in there in hopes that the frost doesn't get them? Or do you go ahead and harvest? And I think today I'm just gonna go ahead and harvest what I can. I know I'm gonna get some green tomatoes, and then I'll maybe show you what I'm gonna do with some of those last harvest things that we're doing. It's always a sad time for me in the garden to say goodbye, but I've had a very good garden year. So I'm gonna go ahead and look at the lima beans on the lima bean tower. Now, a lot of them are just simply not ready. So this is going to be, oh, this one looks like it might be ready. I can see the definite bean outline. It might be a little bit small, but I'm going to go ahead and get that one. On the other hand, this one is very, very non-defined. So some of these beans are going to get left on this vine. If it does frost, well, then that's it. But maybe we'll get a few more. Worth a gamble. Here's the bag of beets that I planted. I think I'll just go ahead and pick a few more of those. All right, so far I have gleaned through the lima beans and picked what I could, and I've picked a few beets, and I'm going to go ahead and roast those for dinner tonight. I think this is going to be dinner tonight. For these two tomatoes, the one on the left is starting to blush. I'm not going to pick this one because it's got a little rotten spot in the bottom, so that's going to just go into compost. I'm looking for green tomatoes, and I'm going to be making some green tomato pickles off of these. Now that I'm out here, I can see that I've got a lot of basil, which I'll go ahead and cut and dry today. These tomatoes, this one's going to get picked for ripening. This one is blushing, so it's going to get picked for ripening too. So I do have to make some decisions about the Tombosino, and I am deciding to leave it here and just take my chances. If it freezes, it won't be any good. It'll just turn mushy. But at this point, it's too big and on its way to hardening up, so it wouldn't be good as a fresh squash, like a summer squash. And I do have butternuts and pumpkins to use for winter squash, so it wouldn't be the end of the world. And I like the way they look hanging here. So I'm just going to make the decision to leave them and take my chances with the frost. I'll show you what I have. I picked a bunch of basil, which I'm going to dry, and that's going to help me remind me of my great, wonderful garden as the cool months come in. In addition to the basil, I also got a lovely basket full of peppers and ripening tomatoes and some beets and peppers, sweet peppers. And in the bottom, it's a pestle full of lima beans. I think I'm going to make a lot of that for dinner tonight. I also picked the last watermelon, a little sugar baby. I'm going to give that to my sister. In my small bucket, I have some hot peppers separated from the sweet ones, and lots and lots and lots of green tomatoes. And I'm going to take these green tomatoes and I'm going to make some pickles with them. If you've never had green tomato pickles, you're missing out. And I will put up a recipe of how to do that because they're really good. I was skeptical at first, but they're good. So I thank you for taking this gathering trip to the garden with me. It may well be the last of the season. I hope you've had a magnificent gardening season. I hope you're well. Thanks for watching. Bye.